Good morning, students. Today we are going to learn a new lesson in 10th Science Unit number 22, Environmental Management. So it's a last lesson in the 10th Science book. You have one more lesson, that is a computer science lesson. So but biology lessons, this is the last one, Environmental Management. So first, in this lesson, we are going to learn the different aspects of environment. We are going to learn what are renewable resources, what are non-renewable resources, what is forest management, what is the different aspects of forest, what is wildlife, different sources of energy, solar energy, tidal energy, wind energy, and how to manage the waste, especially the solid waste. All this we are going to learn. So now we shall learn what is the term environment. This word environment, when I ask what is environment, you will say it is the surroundings in which we live. This word environment is derived from the French word. It's a French word, and this word is derived from a French word called environner, and which means to encircle or surround or to surround. So the surroundings in which we live in or the habitat in which we live is called as environment. This environment includes both living matter as well as non-living matter. So if we say living matter, it includes plants, animals, human beings, and then the non-living matter, it includes light energy, solar energy, wind, water, soil, climate conditions, all will come under the non-living matter. It's an interrelationship or the relationship between the living and the non-living environment. It is called that the non-living matter is called as environment. So now here we shall learn how can we manage this environment. So due to increase in population, there is a demand for the resources. So first we shall see what is environmental management. So here we are going to learn what is the quality of environment. At the present situation, what is the quality of the environment, how it is present, and what are the organisms living, and what are the endangered species, what are the threatened species, what are the extinct species, we shall learn. Now here this environment, it is completely made up of renewable and non-renewable resources. Already you have learned in social science, and from primary you are learning what are renewable resources and what are non-renewable resources. So renewable resources are those resources which can be naturally produced, and by its own it can replenish, it can be again repeatedly, it can be produced. So resources is of two types, renewable resources and non-renewable resources. So renewable resources includes forest, crops, wildlife, water, solar energy, all will come under renewable resources. Non-renewable resources will come under mineral ores, coal, petroleum, all will come under non-renewable resources. See, as there is increase in population, there is increase in demand or there is increase in need of resources. These renewable resources are natural resources, and these resources, they can be replenished and they can be produced again repeatedly. Even after repeated use, it can be retained or it can be produced again by its own naturally. But whereas this non-renewable resource, once it is continuously when it is continuously used, it cannot be produced again. It will take millions of years. So, as there is increase in the demand, as there is increase in population, there is increase or there is a demand for the need of these resources. So, it's a high time to save or to preserve these resources. So, for a sustainable world or for the future purpose, for future generation, it's a high time and each of us should have some awareness to control or to correctly use these resources. So, now we shall learn what is conservation, what is the forest and importance, deforestation, wildlife sanctuaries, all this we shall learn. So, I just gave you an introduction. What is environment? Environment, it is derived from the French word environner, which means to encircle or to surround. Environmental management means how can we manage the environment at the present situation. So, its quality, its resources, what are the resources present, what are the living organisms present, what is the interrelationship of the organisms, all this how can we manage, that is environmental management. And I just gave an introduction, what are renewable resources, non-renewable resources. So, now for a sustainable world, we need to preserve the nature. So, conservation is preserving the forest or preserving the nature for future generation, for future purpose or even for our present purpose is called as conservation. Why should we conserve? We can use it now and we don't want to use it for future generation, then it's their own problem. No, it's not like that. We have to preserve the nature, and for this preservation is called as conservation, and this preservation is very essential, is necessary for a sustainable world. And without this preservation, we cannot survive for future years. It's a high time, I already told you, it's a high time to preserve the nature, preserve the environment. Now, we shall see what is forest and its importance. So, forest, you know that it's a dense resource of trees as well as all the wildlife habitat. It's a habitat. You know what is habitat? The place in which the organisms live in, it is called as habitat. Habit is different and habitat is different. Habit means the form, whether it is a tree or shrub or a herb, that is called as habit, or invertebrate or vertebrate, that the form is called as habit, whereas habitat means the place in which they live in, that is called as habitat. So, here there are different types of forest. For example, desert is a forest, grassland is a forest. So, wildlife sanctuaries, that is a different type of forest. So, terrestrial forest. So, there are different types of forest. So, these forest includes many dense trees, and it is a habitat for many organisms, both plants and animals. It is a habitat for many organisms. It is a place for dense trees. All the microorganisms survive there. So, all the natural microorganisms, all the natural reactions, everything is taking place only in the forest. You know what is the importance of forest? If there is no forest, so there is no enough rainfall, then there may be landslides, wind currents may take place. So all this will take place in the forest. So the forest is very important. So here it's a source of renewable natural resources. So just now I told you what is renewable natural resource. Even after repeated use, it can be reproduced again. So that is called as renewable natural resource. So forest includes wildlife, crops, water. It's a habitat place for all the living organisms. So wildlife is very important. It's a source for natural. It is a source for renewable natural resource. So that is about its importance. So without there is forest, imagine a world without forest. We cannot get proper rainfall. There will be increase in global warming. So all this will be there without a forest. We cannot imagine a world without a forest. So forest is more important. So because it is a place for survival for all the, right from microorganisms to large species, it's a place for survival. Now, if there is, due to deforestation, so deforestation is cutting off trees. Due to this deforestation, the climatic conditions may become worse. Climatic conditions will become worse. There is a reduction in rainfall. Then there will be the global warming is reduced. So many aspects will be affected due to deforestation. There is one side, there is increase in population. The other side, there is a reduction in the forest vegetation cover. So what will happen? Automatically there is an imbalance. So due to this deforestation, the rainfall will be less. Soil erosion will be taking place due to more wind currents, as well as climatic conditions will be affected when the vegetation cover is destroyed completely due to deforestation, and it reduces reduce rainfall and then increase the global warming due to deforestation. So now every year nearly some 1.5 million hectares of forest is deforested. Every year due to deforestation, we are losing nearly 1.5 million hectares of forest area is destroyed every year. What shall we do? So already there were so many movements. For example, Chipko movement. Chipko movement was started in the year 1973 to conserve the forest in Uttar Pradesh. So many such movements. So these movements, this Chipko movement was mainly introduced to conserve forest. The village people, they hugged the trees to conserve the trees. So these movements, though they started many movements here and there, the movements are going on, but still it is not implemented. Still it should be more implemented. Okay, now, so due to deforestation, what are the effects of deforestation? So you know already, I need not repeat everything. What is deforestation? So deforestation, it is removal of trees due to urbanization. So for what purpose do they cut the trees? Mainly they may be cutting the trees for construction of houses, or due to forest fire, deforestation may take place, forest fire, construction of dams, construction of some ideal projects, so construction of houses, buildings, as well as construction of some railway lines. Like that, the forest is destroyed. That is called as deforestation. And this deforestation, it will mainly affect, in turn, whatever we give it to nature, in turn we ourselves receive from nature. That's all. because man is utilizing each and every aspects of nature, but when it is not used properly, or it's not used properly, it is overused, so we are the sufferers. So here, due to deforestation, so it may cause, again, you know what are the effects of deforestation. It may result in flood. So when the soil, top layer of the soil, it is removed, soil erosion may cause, soil erosion may be caused, flood, drought, that may increase global warming. Already the temperature is more, but still drought may take place. So it may cause global warming, no proper water supply. So all these impacts will take place due to deforestation. So what is afforestation? How shall we overcome this deforestation? So for this deforestation, when you cut the trees, we have to plant the trees. There are so many programs are going on in this world. Even in our country, even in Tamil Nadu, there are so many programs. Plantation programs. What is that program? Vana Mahotsava we say. So Vana Mahotsava is celebrated for 1 week. They plant the trees in every organization, in institutes, in schools, in colleges. They plant the trees. So far we have planted so many trees. In the program of Vana Mahotsava, we have planted so many trees. What happened to the so many trees? Only it remains as a program. There is no proper implementation. We plant the trees for the sake of the program Vana Mahotsava. That's all, it is left over. It is dried up, plant is dead, that's all. But the proper maintenance or the proper enhancing the proper growth of trees, it's a question mark. So now, afforestation is growing more plants. So if we cut one tree, so now that is saying that if we cut one tree, we have to plant 10 trees. Are we doing? No, we are not doing. So we have to ask this question to ourselves. So as I request is, each of you, when you are free now, as you are not coming to the school often, as the school is not open, you can plant the trees. You see that you can say, I have potted plants at home, I am growing. So you can be interested in growing plants, at least one plant or a nearby area. Suppose no problem of, I am not speaking about the potted plants. In the soil, if you have time, you just plant one tree, let it grow, so that you can do. At this leisure time, when you are free at home, you can just plant one tree. So you can be interested even in gardening these times. You can use your leisure time in growing the plants. At least each of you, those who are seeing this video, just grow one plant nearby your area. If it is soil is present, that is many of you are there residing in apartments. So there is nearby, you cannot say that I cannot find there is no soil, but wherever you find, you can grow plants, you can start growing the plants. So please do this. So here, this flood and drought. Here, these are the effects of deforestation. Conservation of deforestation. Conservation, it is how to conserve the forest. The main thing is afforestation. Afforestation, I told you, planting more trees, it's called as afforestation. Here, what are in afforestation I told, planting trees, plant saplings. So plant saplings remain as plant saplings. It has not grown up to tree. If it has grown up to tree, the vegetation cover would have been increased. So we have seen there are so many programs, plant sapling program. So but no such improvement is there. So that's why I requested you at least to plant a small sapling. So that is Vana Mahotsava. The next one is social forestry program. So many social forestry programs are going on, but what to say, still it has to be implemented. planting more trees, so many social networks, that is what I said before itself. Many organizations, whether it's institutions, organizations, whether it's a private or public organizations, they plant trees and the plant saplings is planted, that's all, they are leaving it off. So it has to be watered and it has to be checked whether the plants are growing. So such programs we can improve, that is the social forestry program. So many acts were published based on this afforestation. So many acts, Social Forest Act, it was published in 1980. So due to this deforestation, cutting the trees illegally, many acts are published, but still now it's not implemented. See, once we used river sand to construct the house, but nowadays we are using sand to construct the house. Even though some people they are able to afford to buy river sand. So this is the condition now. Imagine the condition if after some 20 years. The same thing even for this deforestation. Once when the vegetation cover is completely destroyed, that's all. So the survival on the earth is completely difficult. Now we shall learn wildlife and its conservation. Wildlife and its conservation. What is wildlife? Here, wildlife and its conservation. What is wildlife? You know what is wildlife? Undomesticated plants and animals. All undomesticated plants and animals includes wildlife. And this wildlife is very important for biological diversity. What is biological diversity? The organisms which differ in their size, character, all will come under their nutrition, size, character, structure, organization, their form will come under biological diversity. So wildlife, it's a great source of genetic diversity, biological diversity. So all this wildlife is very important. Wildlife is rich in flora and fauna. So flora, it includes the plants. The goddess of plants is called flora. So it is concerned with plants. Fauna means the goddess of animals is called as fauna, so it is related to animals. Wildlife is rich in plants and animals, not only plants and animals, all the microorganisms, all will come under wildlife. Here, no one is taking care of these plants and animals. So, they are called as undomesticated plants and animals. At home, we take care of plants. At home, we take care of some pet animals. Those are domesticated animals. So, whereas this wildlife, they are called as non-domesticated plants and animals will come under wildlife. It is rich in source of biological diversity, genetic diversity. So many, each plants and animals, they are varied in their structure, their form, and even the genes also varies. So that's what I told you, they also vary in the genetic diversity. So it's a rich source and it is very important. We have to conserve wildlife for its ecological balance, all this we need to conserve the forest. There is much importance, we have to give much importance for wildlife. Much importance means the first thing that we can do is we are not disturbing the wildlife. That itself is a main thing for conserving wildlife. That is the main step taking place to conserve the wildlife. So here, what are the aims for the conservation of wildlife? We have to preserve plants and animals. Without preserving plants and animals, we cannot survive. So mainly, not only plants and animals, all the natural resources should be preserved. So the main aims of wildlife is preserving plants and animals is called as the main aim, and hunting and poaching. So illegally hunting means hunting the animals. So what is the poaching means? Illegally doing hunting is called as poaching. Poaching is also hunting, but illegally doing without getting any permission, that is called as poaching. Poaching of animals. This all should be completely, it should be avoided. Then apart from this, what shall we can do? Improving the national parks. So this that is many national parks are there. So you know that Corbett National Park, which was the first national park which was developed in Uttaranchal. So many national parks can be introduced. So this that is establishment of more national parks was produced in the year 1972. Then wildlife sanctuaries. So while we aim at wildlife sanctuary, these wildlife animals, wild animals are conserved in that particular habitat. So many introduction of many national parks in each area, and in many wildlife sanctuaries. So it was established in different regions. So for this purpose, wildlife becomes a very important one. Now many organizations are related with this wildlife conservation organization. So many organizations, that is the Indian Union Organization for Wildlife Conservation Organization, Bombay Wildlife Organization, like that so many organizations are there for conserving the forest, conserving the wildlife. See, once when we affect the once when we cause any damage to wildlife, in turn it will be reflected on us. That is, the ecological balance will be completely affected. Again, what does ecological balance means? Relationship between the living world and the non-living world. So relationship between the living matter and the non-living matter, it is called as the ecological balance. So when it is completely, when there is complete imbalance, everything goes wrong. So many, we have to preserve the plants and animals, as well as hunting and poaching of animals should be completely avoided. So many acts are there for illegal poaching of animals. Poaching means illegally hunting the animals, or getting cutting the sandalwood trees. So that is all illegal works against the government. So for all this, so many acts are there. So this was established, and national parks and wildlife sanctuaries were introduced in 1972. So even all over India, there are so many national parks. So a conservation area for national parks for tiger, so for rhinoceros. So there are different places, as well as in India also there are so many wildlife sanctuaries. Vedanangal Wildlife Sanctuary for birds, some wildlife sanctuaries only for peacock. So there are so many wildlife sanctuaries in Virudhunagar district. In so many places there are different national parks and wildlife sanctuary. We have to give much importance to these sanctuaries, and the thing that when we visit these sanctuaries and national parks, we have to not harm the plants and animals. That's why they say don't touch any plant, don't touch any flower. That is importance. If it is, if everything illegal work happens, then there will be imbalance in the ecology. So now we shall see what is soil erosion. Soil erosion, the top layer of the soil is removed, is called as soil erosion. So soil layer, that is the soil is rich in humus. Humus means the fallen leaves, all are present in the soil. It will enhance the nutrients in the soil. So the top layer of the soil, it is rich in nutrients, rich in humus, the fertility is present. So this will help in the growth of the plants. Due to wind currents or due to flood or due to overgrazing of animals, cattle animals, the top layer or the fertility of the top layer of the soil is removed. That is called as soil erosion. So the removal of top layer of the soil is called as soil erosion, and there are so many agents. Due to high velocity, wind currents, flood, it is or overgrazing of the animals, the soil is eroded. If these agents are taking place continuously, then the plants cannot grow properly, the plant production will be affected. So how to manage this soil? How to manage the soil erosion? So what are the possibilities? So cattle grazing. So cattle grazing, overgrazing of cattle should be avoided. Crop rotation. So in the soil, continuously, say suppose in soil continuously planting one type of plant, paddy. So this time they grow paddy, harvest paddy, again they grow paddy in the same soil, the fertility of the soil will be reduced. So for this crop rotation, for example, now they grow paddy, again they can grow some leguminous plants like green gram or some other plants can be grown, that will help them to increase the crop rotation. Or else in the same paddy field, if they want to grow only paddy, they can go for some other crop rotations like adding green manure. Green manure means taking leguminous plants like peas, beans, those plants they will have root nodules. Those plants can be supplied in the soil, plowed, again they can grow for paddy cultivation. So crop rotation will avoid soil erosion. Cattle grazing, wind speed should be controlled, and velocity, or if it is controlled, then soil erosion can be completely controlled. So now, in this today's video, we have started the new lesson, unit number 22, environmental management. I just gave you an introduction of what is environment. Environment comes from the French word environner, which means to encircle or to surround, and managing the environment is called environmental management. So here it includes the quality of the environment, how the organisms are interrelated, what are the species threatened, all that will come under environmental management. We learned what are renewable resources, non-renewable resources, forest and its importance, and then we learnt deforestation, afforestation. So wildlife conservation. Only when we conserve wildlife, you know already there is a red data list of endangered species, extinct species, threatened species. So only when we conserve the wildlife, there can be proper ecological balance can take place, because due to increase in demand in population, there is a demand for all the other needs. So to have ecological balance, to have a sustainable world for future generation, we have to preserve the wildlife, we have to preserve the environment. So thank you boys, stay home, be safe. So try to learn all these topics. Thank you boys.